The ICEVI, the Nippon Foundation Mathematics Package for Teachers video series, Abacus as a Mathematical Tool. Title of the video, Addition of Fractions, Example 15 by 16 plus 14 by 15. In this example, let us find out how the least common denominator is arrived at for fractions, which are adjacent numbers as denominators. In this case, we have taken the fractions 15 by 16 and 14 by 15, where the numerators are 15 and 14 and the denominators are 16 and 15, two adjacent numbers. In such cases, finding the least common denominator may involve some work before getting into the actual fraction addition. We usually start with the listing of the multiples of 16, which is the denominator of the first fraction. They are 16, 32, 48, 64, 80, 96, 112, 128, 144, 160, etc. The multiples of 15 will involve either 0 or 5 as the lowest digit of the multiples. For example, multiples of 15 are 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 and so on. Therefore, instead of checking every number, we can simply check the multiples of 16 which have either 0 or 5 at the end. There is no possibility of having 5 as the lowest number of the multiples of 16, and therefore the only possibility is having a number which ends with 0. In the above set of numbers, we have listed 10 multiples of 16 and only two numbers 80 and 160 end with 0. Neither of them is a multiple of 15. We may be tempted to find out more multiples, but it may be time consuming. Under these circumstances, listing the common denominator may be a laborious process, and therefore two denominators may be simply multiplied to get the common denominator, which may not be the least common denominator, but it is good enough to proceed with the addition process. Let us multiply 15 and 16, which gives 240, and we can treat this as the common denominator, which is a higher number, and let us set it in the extreme right of the abacus. That is, unit digit of the number should always be set in the extreme right of the particular section. That is, place 2 of the denominator in the hundreds column, 4 in the tens column and 0 in the units column. Now take the first fraction 15 by 16, set the numerator 15 in the extreme left of the abacus. Now skip one column to the right of it and set the denominator 16. By keeping your left hand on the 16 and right hand on the common denominator 240, ask how many 16 in 240. When involving higher numbers like this as the dividend and divisor, knowledge of multiple tables will always be useful, and that is why we have mentioned that mastery of multiple tables as one of the desirable skills for the proficiency in using abacus. In case the child is not comfortable with the multiplication tables, then 240 divided by 16 can be treated as a separate division problem. Solve the same using another abacus and note the result. We are assuming that the child is familiar with the multiplication tables and therefore proceed with the addition process. By saying 240 divided by 16 is 15, you clear the 16 and set 15 there. With this 15, multiply the numerator 15 and set the 225 in the section meant for the numerator. Here too, 16 multiplied by 15 can be treated as a separate problem if the child is not familiar with the multiplication tables. Now, after clearing the first fraction, set the numerator of the second fraction in the extreme left of the abacus. That is, your numerator of the second fraction 14 should appear in the first and second columns from the extreme left, and the denominator 15 in the fourth and fifth columns from the extreme left. By placing your left hand on the 15 and right hand on the denominator 240, ask how many 15s in 240. By saying 16, clear the 15 and set 16 in the same column. Now multiply 16 and 14, which is 224, that should be added with 225. That is, 2 should be added with 2, that is 4. The next digit 2 should be added with 2, which is 4. And finally, 4 should be added with 5, and the total is 449. At this stage, check the numerator and denominator sections. If the value of the numerator section is less than the value of the denominator section, leave it. If the value of the numerator section is greater than the value of the denominator section, you have to do some additional calculation. In this problem, your numerator value is 449 and the denominator value is 240. Now reduce 240 from 449, that is 2 from 4 and then 4 from 4 and 0 from 9. The remainder is 209, which is less than 240. The number 240, which is subtracted from 449, is nothing but 240 divided by 240. That is 1. That should be added in the whole number section. The result is 1 as the whole number, 209 as the numerator, and 240 as the denominator. That is, the answer is 209 by 240. Here, 209 and 240 cannot be brought down to proportionate smaller numbers, and therefore 240 in fact is the least common denominator of 15 and 16. In problems dealing with the higher numbers and not having common denominators, which are double digits, the addition process involves a number of multiplications too, and therefore the knowledge of multiplication tables may be considered desirable.